In the last video, we did all the performance and power upgrades on the 360 with the remap, and we completely changed this car for the better. However, when we were out testing it, I discovered that we were really struggling to keep all that new power on the tarmac. The back end was slipping all over the place, and I've just discovered why. And it all comes down to these, the tyres and the age of them. Take a look at this. If we come down here and have a look at the tyre, we can see that it was manufactured in week 50 of 2016, making these almost 8 years old and well past their sell-by date. Lost a bit of their stickiness. Now, having owned this particular Ferrari for over 14 years, using it as a daily driver and putting many miles on it, I've been through a fair few sets of tyres. For a long time, I stuck with the original tyres that Ferrari recommended when they developed the Challenge Stradale, but that became 20-year-old technology, so in the last few sets, I've changed brands. Today, however, I'm going to break the mold entirely. I'm going to do something that most Ferrari and supercar owners are very afraid of. I'm going to change tyre brands. So I'm going to be installing a set of these Laufenn Z-Fit EQ summer tyres. Now, these are Laufenn's premium sports tyre, but they come highly recommended for their outstanding capabilities in both wet and dry conditions. But let's see how these handle a Ferrari supercar. Now, you might not have heard the name Laufenn before. Laufenn are an associated brand with the Hankook Tire group. Therefore, they're guaranteed with all its technology and offering a full lineup of tyres for all seasons, while using their wealth of knowledge to create some really highly rated tyres. Laufenn is also an official partner of the UEL and UEC. All right, let's get it in and get the tyres fitted. While the guys sort out the other tyres, it gives me a great opportunity to poke my head in there and inspect the suspension and brake systems. When Ferrari developed the Challenge Stradale, they made many modifications to improve the handling over the standard 360, adding a 20% stiffer anti-roll bar at the rear, lightweight titanium suspension springs along with upgraded shock absorbers. The brake system also got an upgrade and had carbon ceramic discs alongside bigger 6-pot calipers that were shared with the flagship Ferrari Enzo. They tightened up the suspension with stiffer bushes, added 19-inch wheels, and they also used featherweight titanium wheel nuts, all assisting to reduce unsprung weight. Combine all that with the weight-saving carbon fibre panels, a Lexan rear screen and a stripped out interior, and Ferrari had magically managed to shed over 100 kilograms from the standard 360 road car, making the Challenge Stradale one of Maranello's finest creations. As you can see here though, my car is really starting to suffer. It's been really used and abused for the last 14 years, and now there's a lot of components that have started to perish and really need to be replaced. With a new set of Laufenns fitted to the Ferrari, it's time to put these tyres to the test. Now, the one thing I really want to see from these tyres is that they are capable of handling all of that extra power, all of that extra performance we've added to this 360 and keeping it gripped to the road, which is where the previous set of tyres were really lacking. So the plan is we're going to put the car through some everyday driving scenarios on different road surfaces and just see how these compare with my 14 years of experience in this car and using other brands. But first of all, before we do that, we need to get this car warmed up and bed the tyres in a little bit. So I'll be back in a sec. Now, I've just been throwing this car around some pretty tight bends and doing some very heavy cornering. I have to admit that the traction on these tyres is remarkably good, and that is down to the highly dispersible silica compound that Laufenn are using on these tyres, which gives it better fillet dispersion and equates to much better traction on the tyres. One thing I'm going to try in a second when the roads are clear and it's safe to do so is a stopping test at high speed or various speeds. The roads are starting to dry out a little bit now. All right, we're in a nice 50 zone, nothing behind me, 50 mile an hour. Really, really impressive, very impressive indeed. All right, let's talk about tyre noise. Now, this is a very strange conversation to have in a challenge rally because this is one of the noisiest cars that Ferrari ever produced. We have got an exhaust system back there that is probably the loudest that came out of the factory. You're never ever going to get anything as loud as that due to all the regulations nowadays. We've got no sound deadening in this car, we've got no carpets, we've got bare carbon fibre doors, so you hear every single little stone on the road bouncing up, hitting the bottom of this car. You feel every single bump in the car. But why am I mentioning tyre sound? Well, you don't want a tyre to ruin the experience, the feel of the car, and you have a symphony right back there, so you don't want that being drowned out by a noisy tyre. And these tyres are really, really quite good. They are comparable to everything else that I've had on this car, if not a little bit better than some of them. So let me just demonstrate really why you don't want a tyre to ruin this experience. I'm going to gear down. Fortunate enough to be able to drive this type of car, these supercars, all around the world, and well, mainly here in the UK, and I have to say the roads here are absolutely atrocious. They have got potholes, the repairs are like a patchwork quilt, the roads are often very narrow, they're very, very busy, and well, you know, as you'll see from the video, it's not really a nice experience, the roads here in the UK. So you really need a good tyre to be able to cope with all of that harsh road surface. A good tyre can also save you money at the pump. Why you need an energy efficient tyre. 130 quid. The fuel efficiency rating on these Z-Fit EQ tyres come in on a D, which is quite low down on the scale, but to be honest, that's pretty average on a sports car tyre. And all that money you just saved, well, you can jump in your supercar and enjoy it in some other ways. Now, as you can hear, it's pouring with rain outside, which is something I really don't enjoy driving in, but unfortunately, it's something that happens rather a lot here in the UK. But today, for a change, it's actually quite handy because I need to run some wet weather tests. Now, despite these being summer tyres, and most of us associating summer tyres with bright hot sunshine, well, the fact of reality is we always have to contend with rain. It doesn't matter what season. And so you want a tyre that makes you confident that it's going to survive the rain, survive the wet conditions. The gyro within the camera is going to probably make this look a little bit smoother, but trust me, the car is doing this. This road is horrendous, and there is a lot of surface water on it. You'll see. And we're in race mode. It's really, really coping very, very well indeed. So I then went about testing the newly fitted Laufenn tyres in some pretty extreme conditions on some of the UK's most terrible road surfaces. Over the last few days, we had just had a downpour with lots of rain, and as you can see, many of the roads had pools of surface water. I went from A roads to fast motorways, potholes to smooth tarmac. One more test, so we've got the gnarliest roads, the back roads, the A roads here. The worst in my area, and it's handled it extremely well, better than I thought it would. But we're going to do one more real world test, and that is to drive the car with the tyres on a freeway, on a motorway. The road I've chosen is actually a dual carriageway, which is here in the UK a 70 mile an hour road, exactly the same as a motorway, same speed limit. But the reason I chose this is it's 2 lanes, and typically what happens here is in the slow lane you get all the heavy goods vehicles, all the trucks, all the lorries that kind of wear out the surface, so you end up getting caught in those tracks. I then did a series of 70-mile-an-hour runs up and down the motorway on that wet surface, hitting many pools of water along the way. Lovely. Yet despite everything I put the Laufenn tyres through, they performed amazingly well, not once losing traction and handling all of that standing surface water with ease. And that is down to the Z-Fit EQ tyre having a wide groove on the outer tread, along with 3D wave grooves which provide excellent performance in the wet and work against aquaplaning. I've got lots of traction as well, I really like the tyres for that. Very capable tyres. So far we've tested this car on some A roads, some really bad ones and some normal ones, and also on the motorway at 70 miles an hour. And now I'm going to test it around town. So typically around here we've got a lot of speed bumps like this one. They're all over the place to keep the speed down, especially in a supercar like this. And well, these tyres so far are soaking them up quite nicely. There's a lot of people looking. I think they're looking at the tyres, to be honest. So this is my local town. This is Windsor. Ahead you can see Windsor Castle, and well, lots of speed bumps, as I said, around here. So you really want to have a tyre that can soak these up. It's not going to be too harsh, and these Z-Fit EQ tyres are doing the job nicely, very nicely indeed. Bearing in mind we have a very stiff suspension system on the Challenge Ferrari. Another speed bump, that's 4 in the space of a minute. Now these tyres are also designed to prevent tyre distortion during powerful driving, with new technology applied to the tyre profile which ensures optimised surface contact, pressure and shape, with its solid tread pattern for speed stability. As the road surfaces began to dry out once again, I put more and more miles on testing to make sure that I was really happy that our handling issues were resolved once and for all. And I've got to say, the car was behaving perfectly. Not once did I have any kind of traction issues or lose the back end on the car. Now, I know I've got a lot to do on this restoration, but I really want to be able to continue to use and enjoy the car at the same time. With the sun out, it was really an enjoyable start to the spring, and well, let's face it, there are worse things that I could be doing with my time in the day. Now, one thing I really like about these Laufenn Z-Fit EQ tyres is they look good. I know it shouldn't really make a difference, it's all about what the tyre does, but you've got a very good looking, very expensive supercar here, and you really want a tyre that also looks good. Now these are actually very good indeed. They've got a nice little overhang here which stops all the curb rash. I love the tread pattern and they just suit the car really well. In fact, well, the tyres are probably the best part of my car currently until we restore the whole thing. So it's a big thumbs up on aesthetics. Look at this, I've just been admiring these tyres. Look how bad the arches are on this. They really need to be rolled before we do anything to the bodywork. That is high up on the to-do list. It's where they've been catching these tyres in the past. So guys, how do I summarise these tyres, and have they fixed the problem of keeping all of that extra power and horsepower on the ground where the old tyres fell short? Well, this one's a bit of a shocker. You see, when I installed these tyres on the car, I thought there was going to be a certain amount of compromise, but that really isn't the case. In fact, I'd go as far as to say that these tyres are some of the best tyres that I've put on this car in the last 14 years. Certainly in the case of wet weather, these things have been above and beyond anything else on this Ferrari. You see, the main problem in the tyre world is there's a lot of snobbery. People believe the hype, they don't like to change tyre brands, but if you're able to open your mind a little, willing to give it a go, then I think you're going to be as blown away as me at just how good these Z-Fit EQ tyres are. They have handled absolutely everything I've thrown at them in all kinds of conditions. They've stuck to the road like glue, so I'm going to be sticking with them on the Ferrari. I'm going to put a link in the description below the video to Laufenn's website. Make sure you do yourself a favour, check them out, save some money, and don't compromise on any of the performance at the same time. Well guys, that is it for today's video. We've sorted out some of the handling issues on the Stradale with some shockingly good results. Anyway, join me in the next one when I continue my quest to restore this daily driven Ferrari. Until then, check out what I get up to on a daily basis on my socials. Stay safe and ciao for now.